It's always a good start to things. Wherever we are, go the Dragons, go the Broncos, or wherever we were last week. And Queensland is very parochial. They really are, very one-eyed. But look, great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm going to be speaking for just under an hour, and then hopefully there'll be some insights and some things that you can implement straight away into your lives. That's what I'm here to do. It's not so much motivating, it's more takeaways for your business and your life that you can walk out of here and rip in. I've been on the road the last couple of weeks. I'm doing a bit in real estate these days, and with John McGrath and McGrath Real Estate, and they've had all their kickstarts lately, and we did all that last week, and just talking a lot about strategies that people can use in their business straight away. And my life's an interesting one. Again, Steve touched on a lot of speakers in the coaches. There's more coaches than doers. Fucking hell, what's going on? It's just every Facebook ad's a coach. It's red hot. Give us $5,000, I'll tell you what to do, but I've done fuck all myself. Turn it up. It's off its head. So I never wanted to be a coach. I fell into it. And the only reason I got into it is because I fucked everything up. Twice. I didn't go bust once. I had to go again just to make sure that way was wrong. I needed proof. Made a shitload in my 20s, went bust at 30, shitload in my 30s, bust at 40s, winning at 40, zero in the bank. So, yeah, I'm not really guessing on what doesn't work. I say I made the mistake so you don't have to. And but what great lessons they were. It's not just what to do, it's as much what not to do in business and life. And I'll tell you what, there's traps. There are traps everywhere. Make a bit of dough, get a bit of status, ego, boom, stratosphere. Mine was the size of Everest. Just a massive fan of myself. I was an F-grade celebrity at best, hanging out at Ivy Pool, wanker. Just shocking behaviour. Just shocking entitled behaviour. Gets you nowhere. Other than misery and despair. You know, I made the mistake that a lot of, I think, semi-intelligent people do, and that's they think they're the smartest person in the room. They think that the basic rules of life don't apply. Well, they apply to everyone. And if you're lucky enough to be going good, they apply. That old adage of, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, it's a good rule. It's a good one. Not the old, I'll tell them to do this and I'll do that strategy that I deployed there for a while. Terrible. And sustainable growth and happiness. Like for me, I was saying before, my success markers are very different now. When I started Body Trim, it was a weight loss product I did a while back. We had a good run. It was a TV product, and mainly I wanted the status and the profile and the notoriety and all the shit that I couldn't think anything worse of now. Anonymity's great. My big dream now is an animal rescue farm. Minimal humans, lots of animals. Good humans, but a filter. I'm sure you're all incredibly good. But, yeah, the status and all of that jazz, happiness doesn't live there. So what I said last week, and I want to cover a bit of this off today, the two things that you need in your business and your life is awareness and ownership. If you don't have awareness and ownership, forget it. Finished. Yeah, but no buts. No, rubbish. Awareness and ownership. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you, I'm an alcoholic. So I don't drink anymore. So I get really bored of conversations. I was saying this before. Someone's battling with the piss every week. Give up the fucking alcohol. Stop kidding yourself. Like, you got to get real with yourself. Got a problem with the punt? Stop gambling. Drugs? Sort it out. most people don't. They'll do 50,000 courses, intellectualise it all, behind closed doors, sort your shit out. I was 40, bankrupt in AA. Wasn't exactly on the vision board at 30. Didn't have that one on the vision board. Speaking of vision boards, everyone, manifest this, manifest that. 30 grand to learn manifestation. Stare at the vision board, rub your navel, and it'll happen. Bullshit! You got to do something. It's all in the process. But we're just littered with these guru coaches tapping into the universe, and it'll just pop up like Houdini. No, you got to find out your why, and it's got to put tears in your eyes, not to make money. Money is just it's a vehicle, but why? Why? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want that? Why? If you can't get fired up, it ain't going to happen ever. And if you can't get fired up about what you're doing the wrong thing. Fullstop.com. Yeah, but there's no buts. Oh, that's a tough conversation. Oh, yep, good, have it. This is just the real stuff. I've only got 50 minutes. I've got to be real. I'm not here to, fluff your feathers. Hopefully there's a couple of good things to take out of this. This is your life. It's important what you do with your life. It matters. Everyone that I've met has greatness in them, but very few tap into it because they're paralysed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of what other people think, fear of confrontation, fear of moving away from the herd. Well, I'm pretty sure the herd's going the wrong way. 60% of Australians are overweight or obese. I reckon 90% of people are not that happy with what they're doing. They're not on purpose. They're not living their dreams. So I reckon if you're not following the herd, it's a pretty good sign you're going the right way. Based on the data. It's not my opinion, that's just the statistics. And doing what I do, and now I guess I have so many great insights these days because I'm an open book. You name it, if you could think of really good ways to fuck up your life, I did them. I could write the book 101 Ways to Blow Up Your Life. And we could have 3 editions easily. So this isn't theory, the only way I know now is complete truth, brutal truth with self. And here's what I know, when you get honest with yourself, you get better people in your life. The better you get, the better people in your life get. If you're a 7, you get 7s. If you're a 4, you get 4. What do I mean by 7 or 4? Integrity, values, purpose, work ethic, all the stuff that they can't see. They can see the car and the watch and all that stuff. But I say do the stuff they can't see for the results they can. You get better in your habits behind closed doors, boom. You get better as a human. You get better humans in your life. If you're a 4, your life's a shit fight. Now, I had a big business. We turned over a lot of money. It went quite well until it didn't. Mistakes were made by me. But the quality of people coming into the organisation were not pedigree because I was not. If you're on the piss every day and doing coke 4 nights a week, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get great people in. Radical news flash on that one. Just in case you weren't sure. Maybe try that out. No, I did it. People who want to change the world and make a difference aren't really going to be on board if you're doing coke on a Wednesday night. No good, rubbish. Not trading war stories to sound good. There's ways to live and there's ways to not. There's no variables. But the way to live, it doesn't sound exciting. It's not fast and it's not shiny. And it doesn't put you on a pedestal. But we're not meant to be on pedestals. We're humans. And yes, from a leadership perspective, someone must steer the ship. But I used to look at my staff as resources. They're not resources, they're humans with their own dreams and goals, and it's not until you truly care about the people in your team that you'll ever achieve greatness. We don't need much to be that happy. I currently live in a rented, one-bedroom apartment with 2 little dogs, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. I went from the penthouse and the fucking Ferraris and Maseratis and all the shit that everyone wants. Nothing wrong with nice stuff, but don't chase it. Don't be consumed by it. It's not where happiness lives. There's nothing wrong with beautiful homes and cars, but don't make the rookie mistake that that's going to make you happier. It's called the disease of more, the disease of when. Ooh, when I've got the Commodore, but when I get the BMW, it's going to be good. I've made it then. Get the house on the wall. Mate, you've made it now. You've made it now. You've just got to stay in your purpose, stay in your process, do more of what you're doing. You'll acquire all that stuff, but you won't be controlled by it, nor will you be defined by it. Be defined by the person that you are, not the stuff that you have. It's critical. Again, boring, but I'm here to give you a blueprint for how to live a purpose-driven life, not a stuff-driven life. It just doesn't work. I said last week at the McGrath talks, I said, I used to dream about the car with the horse on the bonnet. Now I just want the horse. Did all that shit, didn't make me any happier. Yeah, give me a few horses, I'm happy as a pig in mud. So you've got to find out what drives you, but it's got to be more than just stuff. It's got, and developing the leaders in your business, developing the people around you, contribution, service. I used to say all those words because they sounded good, but I didn't live it. You got to live it. Most people do not. Most people aren't happy. I used to need a bottle of red wine and a Xanax to go to sleep on a Monday night. Pretty sure that's not ideal on a Monday. So talk about out of alignment. And if you're riddled with anxiety, you're out of alignment. Anxiety, I had it all my life. I don't have it anymore. Sure, there's a genetic component. I think there's a values and an alignment component as well to it. A big component. These are signs that something's not where it needs to be. You're not having the conversations that you need to have with yourself or potentially other people in your life. It's critical. So the platform for your business or life is awareness and ownership. And again, until you can do that, brutally do it, and most will not, you're never going to live the life that you deserve. You just can't, because it's a false economy. You're putting solutions into problems that aren't really there, and the ones that are not being addressed. So it doesn't work. So important. And here's another thing. Here's what I know about success and failure. Pretty sure I was there for all of it. Not just the wins. But, come on, be honest. A lot of us, we celebrate the wins, don't we? How good are we going? Yes, massive win. We got that over the line. When we don't get it over the line, do we have a small propensity to point fingers elsewhere? I think we do at times. I don't know anybody who equally owns their mistakes like they do their wins. Maybe they're out there, I just haven't met many of them. So you've got to own all of it. How did I come across that? The bloke who got me into AA. He's like, mate, you've done some good stuff. He goes, but you made a few mistakes as well, and I'm pretty sure you were there for those as well. I thought, yeah, that's good. That's probably a good point. I was. I made all those blunders. We all do, but we go, it's him, that bloke over there. No, we've got to own all of it. It's just so important. That's the foundation for growth and change. Nothing worse than a leader who's a walking contradiction. Oh, vomit in mouth. Terrible, sickening. You know, and there's charismatic leaders everywhere. They can get on stage and talk the talk, but fucking boring. It's boring. Anyone with half an IQ can go, this woman, that's not real. That was me for a very long time. It's just shit. It's boring. Come on, let's evolve. So you can't lead quality people if you're ducking out the back and doing the opposite of what you say. My mum died back in '02, cancer, very sudden, incredible woman. Mum and Dad were school teachers, and Mum worked all her life for her retirement and then got diagnosed with cancer, and then she died 10 days later, never got the retirement. Very sudden, very sad. But I now, I think to myself, would Mum be proud of her boy today? And the answer would be yes. And you've got to use things like that. It might not be your mum, might be someone else. But would they be proud of you? I'm not talking about how many noughts are in the bank or the car or the frickin' whatever, who cares? But you as a human, would they be proud of you and how you live behind closed doors when no one's watching? How you live, your values and standards, how you live. That's really what it's all about. The other stuff is a byproduct. It's a byproduct. You'll get infinitely more of the success and wealth and living this way every day. Business land talks about integrity. It's a funny word because you can't flick it on and off like a light. You don't have integrity if you turn it off when it's not convenient. You're either pregnant or you're not. You can't be half pregnant, right? Integrity's the same. A few people are looking puzzled about the half pregnant. That's a no. It was just... So unless I've missed something. So you can't flick integrity on and off like a light, but it's convenient to. So most people do, myself included, for a very long period of time. Doesn't work. Have the tough conversations. Have the standards in your life. The boundaries and the boundaries and standards. So many of us are chronic people pleasers. Doesn't work. Be the CEO in your life, not the PA. Don't be pleasing everybody. You can't please everybody, so don't try. But you've got to be really clear on who you are and what you want and the outcomes that you're looking for in your business, in your life, day to day, month on month. So important. You need the compass. Absolutely critical. So one of the key things I teach now in business is process, not outcome. It's got to be, pardon me, it's got to be number one. Most of us are outcome obsessed. We want the result, we obsess about the result, and we don't stay in the process. It causes overwhelm, causes self-sabotage. I say present in the process prevents overwhelm. Present in the process prevents overwhelm. Multitasking is rubbish. The worst thing you can ever do. You do the next thing. And the next thing, and the next thing, and the next, what's in front of you. You can't do 50 things at once. It just doesn't work. So I'll use weight loss as an example because it's what everyone can probably relate. They've either wanted to lose weight or their friend or whatever. So most people, and some of the ladies in the room might, and the fellas of course, but they've done studies that blokes think they look heaps better than they actually do. Sorry, fellas. And women think they look heaps worse than they actually do. That's why 80% of the diet industry is female. Blokes have got the big gut and they think they look like Brad Pitt. Watching the Victoria's Secret model show going, she's got a big nose. While they're on the couch and they're with the big beer gut with the dog, thinking that they're a male model. It's blokes. Yeah, they've done heaps of studies on this. Anyway, so most women have a number in their head they would like to weigh. Would you agree? No fibs. Have you got that little number? Come on, you do. Some of you might have. 60, 70, 80, whatever the number is. I want to weigh a certain weight. Doesn't work. Let's just say you want to weigh 80 kilos. kilos or 70 kilos, whatever. You get to 72 kilo and you've only got 2 to go and you've lost 30, but you can't lose the last 2. Why? Because you went from process to outcome. You can lose 20, but you can't lose 22. Doesn't make sense. Nothing's changed except you're in outcome. You've told yourself a story that when you get to that number, life will be different, life will be better, I'll be worth more, I'll be deserving of love, and I'll be beautiful. You've got to realise that you're all of that now. Not when. When I make $1 million a year, no. Now. Happiness is now. It's never when. It's good to have goals, but we attach happiness to a goal. It's a terrible mistake. Now, Buddhism taught this 2,000 years ago. This is non-attachment. Whenever you're attached, you're gone. It doesn't work. Now, this flies in the face of every rah-rah, run through the walls and hustle and blah. Fucking caves my head in. Wankers on social hustle. Apart from social media, what have you ever done, champ? Except for hustle your Instagram posts. It just sickens me. Well, it doesn't sicken me, but it's just shit. Rubbish. This hustle, the dream's free, the hustle, whatever, all that bullshit. Who cares? It's not about that. Life does not have to be a massive punish and brute force. Mine was for 20 years. Everything I did was a battle. It was a battle. Because I was out of alignment in ego. If you're out of alignment in ego, everything is a battle. You are just pushing and pushing. It doesn't have to be that way. When you get aligned, you work out what you want. You realise as happiness is now, not when. All of a sudden, you're not attached to outcome and stuff just starts to happen. I'm not sitting there manifesting it. I'm getting up and working, but I'm doing it a different way now. Does that make sense? Or am I on drugs? I'm not on drugs, I promise. A few years ago I was, but not these days. I love getting pulled over by the booze bus these days, the best. Had any drinks today, sir? Not for 2.5 years. The cop's like... Yeah, so anyway, it's different life. But we're conditioned. Everyone's up at 4 a.m. and the 4 a.m. club and the this, and it's like a badge of honour, and people put a freaking photo of their watch up because they're up at 4:37, and good luck to them. Ego. There's a book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth. So he wrote The Power of Now, present moment, very good. Stay in the present, yep, great. It's good. But you really want to go a bit deeper. A New Earth, it's all about ego, the egoic self, the shadow self. Now, I tried to read it years ago. I got about 3 pages in and just went, he's kidding. I was just nowhere near. You got to be ready for this book. Now, strongly recommend Audible. You will fall asleep in the written form. And he's not the most charismatic speaker you've ever met either, Eckhart Tolle. Let me give you the red hot tip. My mate went to watch him speak, and he was pumped. And Eckhart Tolle's it took him about 5 minutes to get on stage, about 2 minutes to sit down, about 5 minutes to start talking. And my mate's just like, get on with it. Fucking come on. And then he's realised, hang on, maybe this is part of what I'm meant to learn here. And anyway, but ego's a funny thing, because what you'll do is, I'm not into material things, now I'm spiritual. And you'll bang on about how spiritual, it's still ego. Just you pull out that weed and it pops up there. It's always in us. Awareness. If I'm up here banging on, I don't get the fast cars anymore, but I want to do this, and that's ego. It's just a different form. That's what's funny. People, now I drink kombucha and I fucking meditate 20 times a day and fucking... Calm down. Calm yourself down. We've all... You just got to be aware. And I catch myself all the time. It's not... There's no... But if you can live on this higher plane, you won't have the dramas. How bad's overwhelm? And my problem solving just goes down the toilet fast. You go down the rabbit hole, you can't think, you're caving your head in, then you're on the phone to someone and you're rude because you're stressed. Can anyone relate to that? I do that. When I used to, and they think that Geoff Jowett's a dickhead. He's rattled. When I'm rattled, I'm not at my best. I'm not cracking jokes and thinking about the other person. I'm just stressed and scared. There's two places to live, love or fear. That's it. Place of love or state of fear. Fear's ego. So this stuff, if you can embrace some of it, you're going to not just build a business, but so I've done that a bunch of times. I built a business, a success, but I never built a life and I was never happy. So what's the point? You got to build a life. You can't just build a business. You got to build a life. Like I think of life as a wheel, and the spokes have got to be even. There's no point having money and this, and then you're miserable as hell over here, and that's just a disaster. It looks good on the surface, but who cares about that? What's going on deeper? And I mentor quite a few very high net worth individuals now, and yeah, they've got empires, but they're all coming to me, I'm a bit empty. They got stupid wealth, I'm a bit empty. And he's a good friend as well, but he rang me up about a year ago and he said, mate, I love these videos you're doing. I see the shift. He goes, I want what you've got. I said, what? Fucking no dough, fucking single, 1-bedroom house, 2 dogs. He goes, no, you can have that. He goes, you're happy now. I can see that you're happy. You're a different person. And it doesn't matter what dough you got in the bank. You got to, because the thing is, having had a shitload of dough, happiness has got to be, and it's a fluffy word, I know, and I'm going to give you some framework around it as well, because like to achieve this state, you got to have purpose. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, very good book, Concentration Camp, check it out. It's a small book, one of the best books ever written. He was in a concentration camp, survived, found purpose and meaning in there each day. Happiness needs a framework of purpose. It needs contribution, service, not status. You've got to apply these principles. That fluffy pink cloud of happiness, well, underneath it, there's a framework. And we need things like, we need purpose. A lot of people haven't got purpose. Just making dough, that's not purpose. Now, don't get me wrong, you might have a job or a business that you don't really love, but you make great money. Doesn't mean you get rid of it. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to do other stuff. That's great. You might have a burning desire to do something over here. Great. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't have to. That's where people go, I don't really love my job. I'll get rid of it. No, calm down. We can't live on monopoly money. I'm a realist. But that's a vehicle. I'm going to be more systematic about how I run that vehicle, and then I'm going to use the resources out of that, and I'm going to do this for people or whatever. My big thing now is I love animals. I got these because I was completely buckled back into 16. Oh. Not everything that could go wrong did, but I've still got my health. I didn't lose an arm or a leg, so from a certain point of view, it was fine. But I was in a massive state of ego, and a whole lot of businesses fell over, and Channel 9 did a story, and it wasn't exactly the best ever. And but it was the best thing that ever happened. The best. Didn't feel like it at the time. I went into victim mode for about a year, but then it was the best gift I could have ever got. Because I had to lose it all to find myself. And it's a cliche, but that's what happened. I never thought that you read all that shit in the books. But I was, the books, because the books that you think, frickin' hell, does that really actually happen? But I was never happy. 20s and 30s, never happy. And now, 99% of the time, I'm like, life's perfect. It's perfect. Doesn't mean we don't aspire to more, but I don't have this relentless discontent about myself. And because I'm happy with what I've got, you get more, because people want to be around people who are grateful. It's an energy, I think, that we give off. So I think success is paradoxical. I think it's not where we think it is. And I think when we stay in alignment in our values and we do some of this, we get all the other stuff without the struggle that we have to go through. But this happiness piece around purpose, contribution, is critical, as opposed to a lot of people doing it out of ego and status and fear. It might look like you get the same thing, but people over here, day to day, like their life. That's a great place to be if you like your life. I rescued these two little dogs, Harry and William. They're Pomeranians, so the Royal Poms. Yep, stay with me, very good. Don't have any pictures, but they're on my Instagram, every second photo. Little Pomeranians, and we rescued them, and they had broken ribs and little vertebrae were cracked, and they'd been bashed and kicked and just destroyed by these people. And at that stage, I was not in a good place either. And these little dogs now, fuck, you should see them. Well, you will. I'll show you. Feel a bit out of slideshow, but they're just incredible. I reckon they changed my life. These two little dogs. I really do. I think they just. And I watch these little beings go from broken little animals to just love, and they were so scared, and I was scared, and then they couldn't go near people, and fast forward 3 years, or 4 years, and you would not know that they had this trauma. They got that consistent love, and you see them now, and people meet them and they're like, wow, you must have raised them since they were puppies and you didn't. And I tell the story and people are just, what? Yeah, but it just goes to show that consistency and that safe place. And we healed each other. So my little dream now is to in time, why do I do what I do? I want to have an animal rescue farm. And I want it because I just, the love and joy, those little dogs, and to save them. Imagine doing it with 1,000 animals, goats and pigs. And I got into horse riding. Like all these, I ride horse, I'm getting straight, I've got to go see someone at meeting after this, coach someone on the phone at 12 in the car, back to Sydney, straight to the stables to ride the horse that I lease. Beautiful, what a life. Fucking that's a life. The old me, was again with the McGrath thing a couple of weeks ago, Sydney, 1,000 people in the room, and they loved it and it went good and whatnot. The old me, I'd be straight to Ivy, on the coke, on the piss, after like just disgusting behaviour. Now we have a good event like that. I come from the right place, and I'm there to serve. People go, don't you get nervous? You don't get nervous when you're there to serve. I'm not there to win an Oscar. I'm just sharing. I'm serving. It's very different. There's no nerves because there's not fake. You take the mask off, and all the nerves are gone. And it's the same. This gentleman, are you in real estate? No, this gentleman's in real estate. So I coach a lot of guys in real estate, and the market hasn't been that good, but a few of them have had their best 6 months ever because we changed the lens. So real estate's a good example. Here's what I know about real estate. Everyone is in the same real estate market. So who gives a rat's ass if the market's good or bad? It just is. So while most people are running around going, the market's shit, if you change the lens, the market's the market. But if you come from a place of service and really investing in your clients, boom. You grow your business while others go out backwards. It was the same with body trim. When we did body trim, it was the start of the GFC. Everyone's like, oh God, you couldn't start at a worse time. But I was just fired up about my little dream to do this body trim thing and blah, blah, blah. Start of the GFC. And best thing that could have happened, because Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and everybody else stopped advertising because of the GFC, so I could buy TV for about $4. Not $4, but you get the idea. So it was like the GFC where everyone else was panicking. It worked doing it. If you are focused on your why and what you want, and you've got the process under it, that adversity is a gift. It was a gift for me with body trim. These guys in the real estate space that I work with up in Sydney, and let me tell you something. I don't have agendas with people anymore. I was so bad at that. I was like, ooh, I'll talk to Karen so I can get to Fred. Fucking sickening, social climbing, opportunistic. That was me. Disgusting. Now, you just help the person in front of you. If you've got time, you don't help everyone. We're not Mother Teresa, right? But you help those who help you, and you do what you can. The real estate's a good example. I started coaching one bloke in Sydney who owned a bunch of McGraths. He was a friend, doing well. I knew John from years before. Through that, we reconnected. I had no agenda to reconnect with John. Great bloke, but it wasn't on my radar. He reached out to me. Then, fast forward 6 months. That's right. At 5 a.m. this morning, I was with him at the cafe, and we catch up most mornings at 5 a.m. And now I'm rolling out a mentoring program for all of the McGrath real estates in real estate. Not real estate, but mindset. That wasn't on my radar, but it's just being of service, and it's not, but don't have the agenda. Like, let's get over here. It's just yuck. Like, dogs smell fear, people smell bullshit, right? And that hungriness, just what do you want? Why do you want it? And stay the path. And for me, if I can teach people these mindset techniques, great. But I'm not using people to get what I want anymore. I'm coming from a place of service, not trying to use people. That was what I used to do. Does that make sense? And just doing things for the wrong reasons and going to these dinners and shit to meet someone. I'd rather sit on the couch with my dogs. I've become a bit of a friggin' recluse though. The bloody dogs. Just on the couch every night. Just these ones. Very, very, not exactly, but it looked a bit dodgy. But you get the general gist. Now, a couple of key things I want to talk to you guys about. The lag effect and the transition. Right? So the lag effect is this. If you're watching this today and you're like, okay, that sounded good. Didn't like his hair, didn't like his shirt, bit of a bogan, but there were a couple of good things, maybe. You need to remember this. Whatever you do right now, don't look for 90 days to see anything. It takes 90 days. If you put your head down and really rip in 90 days. Why do most people not? Because they look after 30 days and they go, oh, nothing's happening. Are you serious? It's 30 days. 90 minimum. Minimum. 90. Oh, that's a long time. Come on. Minimum, bare bone minimum, 90 days to begin. SEO, right? You'd see it. You invest in SEO, anyone who expects to see anything within 6 months is an imbecile. You're just not you, but they're imbeciles, because that's how it works. Like, they want the boom. No, that's bullshit. That's how that, you've got to understand timelines, realistic time frames. But then you get your Instagram marketers go, I got 20 times ad cost on bullshit. So, people think it's false economies. Most of these people on social media are talking out their backside. It's not reality-based. And then you try and do an honest business like SEO, and how do you compete? Because some imbecile's saying, oh, you can make 20. Like, that's what the landscape. So you've got to, again, be aware, and SEO strategy is critical. We're going to talk. You've got to have this stuff, but 6 months minimum to start. I actually understand a fair bit about it now. I've looked at it in detail, so I understand what's required, the framework under it to get that down the track. A lot. a lot of links, a lot of blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. So there's a lag effect of 90 days. Now, the transition, 6 months. So what do I mean by that? If you're a big drinker, so are your friends. If you are obese and you want to lose weight, generally so are your friends. You attract what you are, not what you want. So there's a transition phase. Most people don't survive the transition because they don't understand it. If you've got a dodgy habit, you've got to replace it with a good habit. You can't just take out a habit and do nothing, because then you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. What do they say? Idle hands are the devil's playground. You can't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. You've got to take out a dodgy habit and put a good one in. So when I gave up the booze, well, pretty much all of my friends or whatever they were, we're not enemies, we just don't see each other because I'm not on the piss and they are. Like, there's me last night at 6 p.m, I live in Potts Point, and I'm walking through the cross with my little dogs going for a walk, and there's one of my mates, God bless him, but he's been on and off with the booze, and there he was at the pub, schooner, he sort of done a bit of rehab, this bloke, and good bloke, really successful at his, and in business, yeah, and I saw him and I said, mate, how are you back on the piss? And he goes, I said, that's all right, mate, you got to do what you got to do. But he goes, I haven't reached out because of the shame. So don't worry about the shame, we've all got our journey, but yeah, the people who still are doing what you were doing, you're not going to see the transition phase. I don't hang out with drinkers and druggers and blokes going to strip clubs and all that shit, all of which I did a lot of. It's against every bit of my DNA now. And that's interesting. I don't mean to please, I hope it's not like a sexist thing or something, but I'm just being honest. Like, when we're making lots of money, you go to the bars and the strip clubs and you do all that, and like, I couldn't physically go anymore because it's just not in my DNA anymore to that behaviour. But that was what we did because you made money and you were flying high, and that was the trimmings, and that was the Wolf of Wall Street shit. Most of that stuff in that movie actually happened. It was shit. I'm pretty sure it didn't work out that good for him either, according to the film. I don't know the bloke, but I don't even know if he's changed much. But anyway, it didn't work for me. But what happens is if you stay the course and you trust the transition and you do these things and you raise your... Who would have thought at 40, 41, I love horses and I ride 3 days a week, and this is a big shift. You don't know me, so you don't know the magnitude. But I was not hanging out at the horse stables. Let me give you the red hot tip in my mid-30s. Right? So it's just, but there's all this magic that you can come across when you raise the awareness, the ownership, and you understand this transition. So a lot of people, look, there's nothing wrong with alcohol if you can manage it. I can't, so I don't drink. But there's a lot of, I reckon there's about 20% of people in that, like, they really can't manage it, but they sort of keep trying. I've got heaps of mates, really, really talented, but they struggle with the drink and the drugs. And if you're doing coke every week, there's a massive problem. That's not living. That's medicating. I think most of us a lot of people medicate through life. Some might say, well, you medicate with horses. Well, that's a good medicine, I think. I think it's, it's connection, and it's a beautiful, magical thing. But yeah, the trouble is, society does so many things that we don't even blink at. So if you're making heaps of dough, it's normal to drink and do a bit of coke. Well, it doesn't mean it's good for the soul. I don't know anybody who does all that stuff and 10 years later go, that was the best thing I ever did. All them drugs, that strengthened my marriage. That made me more monogamous. Said no one ever, right? So again, some people who aren't ready to hear it, they're like, friggin' hell, how boring's this bloke? But he's happy. And I just think there's a moral code that we have to abide by and live as humans, some of which are in business, and that's great, and we lead other humans. But first and foremost, we're human. We're not leaders or business owners. We're humans. And we have to be good humans. And some of us who are gifted and leaders and whatnot, we will lead other humans. But underneath that, we have to be good humans first and foremost. And that's where the pride comes in. And I said yesterday, are you proud of who you were yesterday? Are you proud of what you did yesterday? Not what you achieved and what you won, but are you proud? When you put the head on the pillow, are you proud of who you are? And that comes down to complete alignment to values in private. Anybody who is obese is eating in private and generally not telling people about it. That's reality. Some people don't want to hear it, but I've seen it all. I'm 42. I know I look about 85, but I had a tough gig. It's tough being a loose unit through your 30s. Hey, alcohol's preserving. Bullshit. And look at my head. Terrible. Jesus. So, yeah, transition, 6 months. If you go, right, I want to drink less, I want to lose weight, I want to double my income. Whatever it might be, like 2xing your income, it's depending on what business you're in and the margins, and there are a lot of variables that I don't know about with what you guys do, but real estate's easy because in the sense that you're the product. The thing about real estate that I love is that the only variable in that particular industry is you. Everybody's selling the same thing. Every other industry, there's technology, there are supply chain, there's ingredients, raw materials, there's all these things, and the salesperson's like, well, I'm buggered now. They just brought out a green juice and there's none of that. Houses, apartment, so in real estate, the person who works on himself the most wins. Fullstop.com. That's it. So it's an exciting space to sort of be in because you don't have all those other scenarios, the mooring lines where people can really get stuck. But if you trust the transition, 6 months, what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? What do you need to change in your life? There will be a period where you have to have a little bit of loneliness and solitude because you're not going to be surrounded by people immediately who are doing what you're doing. If you want to shift and move forward, really important. I say small fish, big pond. So I always want to be the small fish in the big pond. Don't be the big fish, you're in the wrong room. Someone said to me the other week up on the Central Coast, that makes heaps of sense, but why don't we do it? Ego. Because people want to be the big fish in the small pond. You're in the wrong pond, you're in the wrong room. You've got to get around people with more integrity and all the success and the stuff that you want because you will become that. People more successful than you want you to win. People less successful than you, they want you to lose. They actually do. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just fear-based. They don't want you to leave them behind. You have to understand the human condition. So if people are less successful than you are right now, they don't want you to go whooshka most of the time. I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, and I know that I'm generalising, but for the most part, they don't want you to. They can't. They're going to leave me behind. If a whole bunch of people are overweight and Betty starts losing weight, Betty's mates are going to be like, don't lose any more weight, Betty, you're wasting away. And Betty's probably still got 30 kilo to lose. They're like, oh, Betty, you're all skin and bone. I'm like, Betty's still nowhere near the BMI. Have you got an eating disorder, Betty? And poor old Betty's caving her head in because her mates are just absolutely trying to sabotage her because they don't want to be exposed for not doing what they deep down want to do, but they're too paralysed by fear. That's the human condition. So you just got to know it. It's not good or bad or right, wrong or indifferent. It just is. So I try and live a life where I have awareness toward that, myself included. I'm guilty as everybody else. We're human. We're perfectly imperfect. We're flawed. That's, I think, why I love the animals, because there's a purity to them. I think, we can be, we are challenging, I think, sometimes, us humans. I am, friggin' hell. But, again, if you can understand a lot of that, you can navigate the path a bit better. All right, a few more things. I talked about before, I'll talk about this. Daniel McPherson, who's Aussie actor, good-looking rooster. Ladies, would you agree? Someone says, I don't know who he is. Boys, would you agree? Can I get another water? Is that right? Anyway, Dan McPherson, he was on Neighbours, hosting Dancing with the Stars, all that stuff. Very good. He's a friend. I have a mindset coaching club called the Jowett Method. And we coach twice a day live on video. I did it in the car on the way down today. And 7 a.m, 7 p.m. So a couple of weeks ago at 7 a.m. Sydney time, Dan was on and we coached. We did a cross. He was in LA and we talked a bit about mindset. And I like to get different guests on and whatnot. Anyway, we were talking about process. And I couldn't have asked, we talked for 2 minutes before, and how are you going? How's Zoe, his wife? And I used to live with his wife. That's how small of a world it is. And then years later, they got married. So, small world. But anyway, we're talking about process. So he had a big career in Australia, moved to LA with his wife, didn't get a gig for 3 years. 3 years, nothing. So anyway, this is what happens in LA. Everyone sits around and they drink coffee and go to Equinox, the gym, and they blame their agent because they can't get a gig. So Dan did that for about a week and he went, fuck this. And off he went. He goes, mate, I've got to get back into the process, skill up. So he went to acting school, stunt school, martial arts, everything you could possibly do to give himself every opportunity. 3 years later, 3 years, not 3 months, don't worry about 90 days, 3 years, boom. Now he's blowing up over there. Now, he said, he goes, Jeffro, it's like swimming from Sydney to LA. He goes, mate, 99.9% of the time, you can't tell if you're going anywhere because you can't see the land. I'm thinking, this is gold. And it is, because most people, they get, well, don't worry about 1 year in, they get 30 days in. Oh, this is shit, I'm not going anywhere. Back home, retreat, safe haven, where it's warm. He just kept swimming. And he goes, mate, right at the end, boom, land. And that's how it works. That you've all seen that, that little meme or whatever it is, and the bloke's digging for the diamonds, and the frickin' diamonds are like one shovel away, and he turns off and goes, oh, there's a lot of that, isn't there? And that Acres of Diamonds analogy, that book as well, where the farmer, I'm probably not doing it justice, but essentially he's a farmer. He goes off looking for gold. Turns out there's like $1 trillion worth of diamonds under his farm or something. But he's over here. This is shit land. We can't. Anyway, there's diamonds and blah, blah, blah. So I talk a lot about the grass is greener. People, the grass is always greener. Here's what I know about grass. I'm not talking about marijuana. I don't know. I actually don't know much about that. Grass is green when you water it. Would you agree? Good, thank you. What's your name? That was a very firm yes, Patrick. Thank you. Like it. It is. Turns out you water grass, it grows. That's what we do, thanks to social media. We've got our grass, but we're not that interested in our own grass. We're looking over the fence at old mate's grass. It's greener than ours. Now, you might have the Greg Norman, Florida, super turf in your backyard. If you don't water it, it's gonna die. But we spend our whole life over the fence, these ones, at what everyone else is doing. Comparison is the thief of joy. Shocking. Social media has just made it rife. And this is what happens with comparison. Your mate's in Mykonos or Santorini with their boyfriend or girlfriend. You're at home at work. They've just put a picture up, Santorini, the white, boom. All of a sudden, depressed. I'm here. My life's shit. Theirs is good. Boom. Social media, there's good elements to it, but we all fall into that, the old social media depression cycle, because your mate's in the Greek islands or wherever they are. The funniest thing about that is that you actually ask your mate when they come back, fuck, that looked good. How was that? Oh, mate, it was shit. Fuck, we blued the whole time. I'm like, what? And you're half happy that they did, because you're stuck at home like, my life's shit, right? But it looked awesome. He goes, mate, it was awesome for those 3 photos. We blued the whole, like, nothing's what it seems. It's the highlight reel, the social media, but we all fall into the bloody trap. What I know about success and happiness is that if you water your grass and you stay focused there, your grass will grow. You might have a small business with 1 client. Generally, every business starts with 1 client. Join the club, welcome aboard. Now, Ty Lopez doesn't talk about that, good old, but my mates who lived in Hollywood, they used to get invited to these. Ty Lopez is a social media guy over there. They would get in, my mate actors and whatnot over there, they'd get invited and paid to these bullshit parties. They paid. It's just a fake world. It's not his house. I'm sure he's made heaps of money off the back of that now, but that wasn't at the start. That's not reality. My mates literally, like, it was really weird. Like, we're meant to be friends. It was an acting gig. This is real. Several of my mates in Hollywood got gigs over there at his house. That's what we're competing with. I've literally just thought of that now because I'm meeting my mate Richard at the horse stables at 3 o'clock. That's what made me think of that, because he was the bloke who was over there for a bunch of years. He had the lead role in Dancing with the Stars. Very good sort, not Dancing with the Stars, Dirty Dancing. Patrick Swayze did the big lift till he did his back, then he was gone on the West End. Very, very good. But imagine that. So we're comparing our life and all this stuff to things that they're paid actors and rented Lamborghinis and all of this stuff. And you've got to be so careful. If it looks too good to be true, it is. If someone's cleaned up fast, it's bullshit. No one does. No, nothing good happens fast. Nothing. Zero. Like, you even look at old mate, what Jeff Bezos said, he's Amazon. But yeah, like that took, the book strategy very long. That's taken 20, 30 years or like nothing good happens. Well, you've got to do stuff in business that aligns with your purpose. You've got to do stuff that lights you up, I think. And if it doesn't, you've got to have a significant hobby or something where you can use the wealth and do something with it other than just run that business. Nothing good happens quick. And that's why I made so many big mistakes in my life, because I wanted to do it fast. I wanted to be BRW Fast 100, BRW this, Turns out all those Fast 100s, they're always gone in about 3 years. Like always, the vast majority of the young rich, the Fast 100, they're gone. Another news flash, anyone who's real is not in the fucking BRW Fast 100. They don't want to be in it. Because you go to, oh, hi, Mr. ATO, just come and rip me a new one. Like, this is behind the curtain reality. It's just that, and the biggest wanker for 2019 is BRW number 1. That's the reality of it. Now, I was obsessed with all that shit, but the people who are the real deal, they don't want to go anywhere near it for a whole bunch of reasons. And the thing with me with the material stuff and all of that, I'm just really scared of it. I just don't want to go anywhere near it again, because I don't like the person I became. So I put rules in my life. Rules. I'm about to buy a car. $4,000 Toyota Yaris. Rock and roll. I was going to get a $15,000 Kia, but because I was bankrupt, because I fucked everything up, I can't even get finance on a $15,000 car. Now, that's not doom and gloom. I'm just telling you how it is. That's all right. I came down on a Go-Get today. They're awesome, a little swipe a Go-Get thing, like a little day rental that's parked out the front of my house. But that's the reality of what's on offer if you don't have your shit together and you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Bankrupt, can't get finance. Funny story, this time last week, I was all set to, I told the community, everyone, I was going to get this car. Then the friggin' contract come through, $15,000 car was going to cost me 40 grand over 5 years because of the interest. Pretty sure I'm not getting that car. So after about 2 hours of being a victim and, I'm trying and I'm helping and why can't I just get on with my life? Like, still has those emotions. The next day I'm like, what are you doing? Just buy a Yaris for $4,000. It's all right? Yeah, so boom. Well, yeah, so you can hear me anyway, right? We all go into that victim mode at a certain time. Yeah. Cool. Turn me off. That'll definitely turn me off. You rubbing me bum. Don't worry about that. He's a good-looking rooster, though. Can you hear me? Is we good? One. Yep, two. So, yeah, that stuff, again, it just, I don't know, the things that I need to be happy these days are very different to what they used to be. I remember I bought the brand new 6 Series BMW. Great, they're a freaking good car, boy. That's the best car I've ever had. Had it for 3 months. I thought, this is shit off. I went and bought a new Maserati because, like, the insanity and the ego and the madness was off the Richter scale. And then that was shit because someone bought the 458 Ferrari. Like, my life was it's just horrendous. So you can drive down the street in your loud car, like, and it's funny now because I like the loud bikes and the loud cars. I'm like, oh mate, can you fucking get rid? It's too loud. The dogs bark. It's just all the shit that I used to think was cool is just the most uncool thing ever. And it's funny. I had dinner with a bloke. You might know him in the real, Matt Steinwade. So Matt and I do a bit of stuff now, and so this guy in real estate is a bit of a superstar. Makes, I don't know, $5 million a year probably, give or take. He said, I want to come down, let's have dinner, I'll come down to you, I'll pick you up. I hadn't had dinner with him before, and the bloke is a rock star, rocks up in a fucking 10-year-old Land Cruiser. Now, I'm not saying nice cars are bad, but no watch, no flashy show bullshit, just real. He goes, I'm not interested in all that stuff, mate. I'm just doing this and I've got my kids and, wow, how good. Just that shit inspires me. That to me is what it's all about. I was waiting for at least a Range Rover, a typical real estate, no offence, sorry, but get the black Range Rover Sport and off I go and, life will be good. But here he is in the old Land Cruiser. I thought, how good's this bloke? That stuff inspires me. Like, that's confidence and that's real. Like, I just want to be around real people. It's just, there's something so magical about it. And they're the only people that I give any time to these days because they make me better. They make me look at myself. People who are real and raw and vulnerable, and you can sit across the table and go, mate, this is where I'm struggling and I got to talk. Boom. Oh, how good's that? The connection. Like, we are. Brené Brown, by the way. Brené Brown, Daring Greatly, TED Talk, Vulnerability, TED, check her out. Shah's heard her, yep. She's the best, very, very good. I was in rehab back in 2014, by the way, and Brené Brown, another story for another time, in the US, and she was like, we had videotapes of her before she was a superstar doing the Daring Greatly stuff. Anyway, all that stuff, we are hardwired for connection. You don't connect through a bag of Coke. You don't connect through 20 schooners. You might talk a bit of shit, but you're not connecting. That's not You're connecting with the bottle or the bag or whatever, but you're not connecting with other humans. And as humans, we need connection. It's so important. So for me, they're the sort of people I want to be around. They make me better. We make each other better. All ships rise with the tide, that sort of stuff. And I just don't compromise that. I'll give everybody a little bit of time, but it doesn't mean I'll keep being around them. That's the sort of stuff that I think is just so very, very important. So I'll close with this. No one's as good as they look, but we're all much better than we think. So you're in this room today, and I applaud you for that because you want to build your businesses and you're actually putting some time into yourself, and that's fantastic. But don't put success on a pedestal. No one's as good as they look. We look at these founders out there and we think that, mate, they're more dysfunctional than all of us. Anybody who's a founder of a big company is literally, they're eccentric, they're quirky, they're all over the joint. Don't worry about that. They can barely exist in the world,
but they are brilliant in one little area. But then what we do is we look at them and go, they're incredible. They're not. They've just gone narrow and deep in their passion and skill. Go narrow and deep in your passion and skill. No one's as good as they look, but we're all much better than we think. We look at ourselves, we forget the 100,000 good things we've done, and we remember the 2 fuck-ups, right? And we whip ourselves about the 2 fuck-ups. That's why I suggest a success log. And you sit down, not just a gratitude journal, but a success log, and you map out all the wins that you've had in your life. The wins, the achievements, because you forget them. You remember the 2 or 3 blunders. Sure, we all make them, human condition, perfectly imperfect. We all do it, we fail forward. But we've got to remember the wins, otherwise that voice in our head's going to ruin us. So that's important. No one's as good as they look, but we're all much better than we think. Guys, thanks for having me. I've loved being here, and hopefully there's a few insights there that not just for business, I'm sure you're going to get heaps of that for business, but more for life. Best practice living, ways to live, and avoid the landmines. Don't blow your legs off like I did. You don't need to. Be aware of ego. It's the shadow self. There's a book by Ryan Holiday called Ego is the Enemy. You should check that out. A book on Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote a book called Meditations thousands of years ago. He was one of the great Stoics. The Obstacle is the Way is another great book, all the Stoicism and that sort of stuff. So, look, some takeaways, process, not outcome. Beware of the disease of when. You will never be happy when if you are not happy now. You can't be. You think you can, but you can't. Life is a summitless mountain. You have to get used to the climb, the side of the hill. There is no summit. Just when you think, if you live your life chasing summits, as soon as you get to the summit, you'll have one dinner at Rockpool, buy an expensive bottle of red, swan around, right? It's funny because it's true, isn't it? Like, I get it. CEO of Wankerville here, don't worry about it. President, executive chairman, I get it. So you do, if we go to Rockpool and we'll get the table and we'll have that bottle and I'll just go to the restroom and potter around and these ones. There's Eddie Maguire doing his best every other night. He loves it. God bless him. But happiness doesn't live there. And then you're at Rockpool and that's a great night. You wake up the next day, discontent. Because you've seen another summit. And off you go for another 5 years. Slogging. Nothing wrong with big goals and dreams, but you've got to be content and happy along the way. And whenever you're chasing a summit, as soon as you get to that summit, you're going to see another one. And so the ratio of happiness versus discontent is one night in about 3 years. That night at Rockpool on the piss, you're content. And then the next day, you're like, we've got to raise the bar. This is not enough. We've got to play a bigger game. We've got to do more. All of which is good if you're happy in the process as you go. Thanks very much.